would like to speak to you about rod action, fly rod action. And this is in regards to what I talk about in the HookedNow article, HookedNow magazine. I have one rod here. This is kind of a cool rod. It's the TFO that they make for instructors, so you can really see what I'm doing, which is nice because it's bright yellow. Not a rod I necessarily want to fish, but great for instructing. And it does cast well. Now I'm going to take one rod here because if I had three different rods to show you slow action, medium action, and fast action, you probably wouldn't see the difference. The action is something very subtle, and it's something you feel much more than you see. So what I want to explain is, if this were a slow action rod, here's what I would feel. I would feel, in fact I'll turn this way. When I went to make a cast, I would feel the whole rod kind of resisting. And for just a moment, but I'd feel that extra weight resisting me, and then it would pop through. And then when I went forward, again, I would feel the rod kind of lagging behind, and consequently I would feel the weight of it longer, and it would feel a little heavy, and then it would pop through. That's a slow action rod, that kind of pop through, and it kind of resists and then comes through. At the opposite end is the fast action rod. When you go to cast a fast action rod, boy, you start to cast, and boom, it's already, that line is out there, you know. And there's hardly any perceptible delay between the motion of the rod and the line going out. Just boom, boom. So when I explain the extremes, that makes it easy to understand what a medium action rod is, or moderate action. It's going to be between those. The rod's going to be a little lazier to respond, but it's not going to feel heavy. It's not going to really resist you, but it just responds a little slower, and there you go. The slow rod, naturally, because of that slow action and because of the whole rod kind of over swinging, tends to throw big loops like this. I don't know if you can see them, but anyway, trust me, these are big loops I'm throwing. They're about that wide. And the fast action rod tends to crack out little narrow loops like this. And then the moderate action rod tends to make, whatever a moderate loop is, kind of a medium loop. Now, I just illustrated a really important point, and that is that a good caster can make tight loops with a slow rod and wide loops with a fast rod. These are only tendencies I'm talking about. And so I really want to emphasize something, because I just did that. I just made wide loops, just like that, and then I made tight loops, all with the same rod. I could really tighten them if I wanted to. Boom. Those are just little kinks in the line. That's about casting. And casting is really important. Also, your personal preference, what you like, is, well, it's if you go to a restaurant, that's the comparison I like to make. Somebody says, boy, the seafood here is great. That's their specialty. You don't like seafood. Well, that's not what you should order for dinner. You're not going to like it. So order something else. Order the lamb, And it's the same with rods. Somebody can tell you, this is the right rod for this kind of fishing. Yeah, maybe so, but maybe it's not the right rod for you. So don't, this rod action stuff will help you pick a rod, help you understand rods, but don't start getting intellectual when it comes time to buy a rod. It has to feel right. It has to fit you. Now, if you don't know what you like, if you're brand new to fly fishing, I would say get a moderate action rod. One that doesn't feel real slow and resistant, one that doesn't feel real stiff and just, respond instantly, one in between, because that's a rod that suits almost anybody well. Okay, I'm going to take the tip of this rod off, and we'll close in a little bit here since we don't need to be so far away, and I'm going to make this tip, we're going to pretend that this is an entire rod, and I'm going to make it bend. I'm going to show you the bend of the three different kinds of action. So I'll start with, I don't remember what, I think I started with slow action last time. Okay, when you go to cast, this is a complete rod, a midget rod. When you go to cast, the slow rod, you're going to see it bend something like, what am I going to use? Kind of like this. See how the bend is bending more at the top, up here, than at the bottom, but the bend is going through the whole rod. It's really pretty, it's not evenly distributed. Definitely bending more up here, don't misunderstand me, but it's really pushed down into the butt quite a bit. When I cast a really fast action rod, the upper part of the rod is going to do almost all the bending like that. Yes, there's some bend clear down through the whole rod, but barely noticeable, really, a really fast action rod. It's just almost all up there. So we went from that rather, to that. Big difference. It really is. And then when you get to the medium action rod, medium action, it's in between. And so, and medium's hard to beat. That's a really versatile action, and it suits a lot of people. Medium, just slightly fast. I'll tell you, with really slow action rods, you can actually, slowest rods, and I don't know if you can even buy those anymore, but they've certainly made them. You can actually feel the grip sort of bending, because the bend has been pushed so far down in the design into the grip, so you actually will feel the grip bending when you cast. Most rods, that's a really slow rod, but anyway, just to put this all, summarize it, all interesting stuff, and it's always good to know more. So we got slow, fast, medium, and believe me, you can have several different rods that are medium action and they can feel wildly different. It's a very general thing, so don't get too intellectual about this. When it comes time to buy a rod, you know, go out, cast it, make it do the kinds of casts you're going to need to do on the stream or the lake or the salt water, and see if it fits you. Don't get too caught up in this intellectual stuff. It'll lead you astray. Even experienced rod builders, and I am in fact one of them, I did that for 10 years for a living, even they trust their gut and their feelings more than they trust